Hey everybody, regulators. Y'all hear that? We damn good. Oh, okay. Theme music, theme music. Feeling good, feeling fresh. Uh, uh. All right, welcome everybody. So, in today's Go Live, I'm going to talk to you about the different opportunities that realtors are missing that perhaps you're also missing. If you're in this group, you could be, you might not be missing, that is preventing you from actually having success in the land investing game. Now, before I get into the hows and whys and all that, let me tell you a little bit of a story. This story is one of a few that I've experienced, but this one is more drawn out, so I can actually talk about it with more confidence. But before I get into that, let me know if you can hear me or if you can see me. Comment below. I don't like the way Facebook is doing their new Go Live system, so it's hard for me to see your comments in real time. But I do see them after a while. So comment if you can hear me, you can see me, all that. I would appreciate that. Anyways, getting into it. I think this story, when did this happen? I'm looking at the date because I actually have a transcript of the conversation that I had with this individual. This happened in April. Okay, so this was very early of this year. And I was in a county in Texas, and I was actually selling some vacant land property as the usual. Now, when I was actually doing that, I did my thing, everything is fine, and now it's time to sell. And when I'm selling, when you do it with the escape velocity strategy that I'm using, you will actually get a lot of people inquiring because you have some good land at a really great price, and that itself is going to move things quickly. But in this situation, I had a realtor contact me, that's pretty usual. Normally, I don't deal with realtors just for the fact that because they're trying to get a cut, it will drive the price up for their end client, which makes things more difficult. And they got to go through that 30-day closing process and all that other bullshit. That's totally unnecessary for vacant land lots. I'll do it if they pay for it, then I don't really have a problem with it, right? It just takes longer for me to get my money, and it's a little annoying, but a sale's a sale, and it is what it is. So, anyways, as I'm doing my thing, I find this realtor, or she finds me. And she's like, okay, great. She wants to know a bit about the property, which is normal. And let me start to read some of the things. She's like, how recent is a survey? And a survey is basically where a surveyor will come out. They'll put stakes into the ground to kind of mark off the boundaries of the property. And it uses, I don't know how they do it. They use this, trade secrets or whatever. And they just figure out from the parcel maps and these other things, like these is where the exact lines are, so you can put a fence here, and oh look, by the way, this fence is encroaching on your property, and now it's your property, all that. Okay, great. So she's asked about that, and when I buy these properties, I buy them sight unseen. I don't actually go check them out. I don't really do all these things. Now, I do ask if they have a survey done, is there power and water. I ask these things, and I'll get back to that in a minute. But I'm saying, hey, you know what? This property has been owned by the same person for 40 or 50 years. They've never developed it. They've never built it. There's no survey that's been done probably since the plot was subdivided. And they're asking, well, how long ago? I'm like, I don't know, 30, 40 years ago. I don't know. I didn't ask, or I just, they didn't know, so I didn't really care. And they're like, well, I'm very interested. I want the property. But I'm not sure if I can do it this way. I'm like, okay, okay, yes, your prerogative. No skin off my back. Now it's like, yeah. So what kind of deed will you sell on? I say it's going to be a warranty deed. Now, for you guys that don't know, a warranty deed is just saying, hey, the property I'm selling you, the title is clear, and it's clear all the way back to however long it is. So that usually gives a lot of people a lot of confidence to buy quickly. But you don't have to do that. You can do a special warranty deed, which says, hey, as long as I've owned the property, there's nothing weird with the title, no encumbrances, nobody else can claim ownership. But, whatever. So now, the next day they contact me. They said, like, this seems like a good opportunity, but honestly, I don't know how you're going to sell without title insurance or a survey. I'm a realtor. I'm like, oh, is that right? You're a realtor. Great. And I'm like, and she's like, yes, title insurance makes a difference. Quick side note. Why I don't use title insurance. Number one, it slows me down. Number two, I'm actually going to do a training on this later, but in a nutshell, if you actually look at the terms and conditions of what title insurance is actually, what they actually guarantee, they don't guarantee a lot. They even give themselves wiggle room. Like if they do make a mistake, or there's something that's on the title that they didn't recognize or they didn't see, and it ends up being a problem later, they're like, hey, you signed a waiver. We told you what we knew, but that's all we knew. So I don't know about you, but if I'm paying for a service and a service saying, yeah, we're going to maybe provide it, we'll do our best, but yeah, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. To me, it's like, well, why would I pay for that service? So I'm like, yeah, I don't do title insurance. I don't do anything like that. Look, this land property is for $2,000. Like, are you really going to pay $1,500 to do title insurance and all that for a property that's only worth $2,000? And for this realtor, it was hard for her to wrap her mind around that. I'm like, okay. She goes, look, if you want to sell, produce a survey and offer title insurance. At this point, I'm very tempted to turn you into the Texas Real Estate Commission. So I told her this, hey, look, I'm not a real estate agent. You can talk to them all you want. I'm not part of your jurisdiction. And she's like, okay, well, I own my own property. I can sell my own property. I've been doing this for many years. I go, what laws prohibit me from selling my own property? She says, well, a survey and title insurance will help. Notice that she doesn't answer the question because she knows that I can do what I want with my property. I can sell it as is if I want. I can sell it with all these contingencies if I want. It's mine. That's like me going on Craigslist and asking someone to buy a car and like, hey, I want to buy your car, but I need you to adhere to dealership rules and laws. Doesn't make any sense. But because this realtor is so stuck in her ways, it was hard for her to see things in a different way. Now, it goes on and on like this, obviously, if we don't do a deal. But why is this important to you in land acquisition? Well, here's the thing. First off, when I'm actually looking to purchase land, this is important. I look to get things as cheap as possible. Why do I do that? Well, that sets everything else up in the future. If you follow my escape velocity strategy, you know that the part of the reason why I can sell so quickly is because I'm giving prices at like they're irresistible. They're so good. This is why people keep calling me. I have to turn off my phone or put my phone on silent during these go lives so it does I don't get pings and text messages and ringing just so I don't get interrupted because the prices are that good. Now, obviously, depending on where you're selling will dictate how much traction and interaction you have. And in the escape velocity strategy, I show you like how to pick the better areas. But this stuff works for everything. Now, why else do I buy for cheap as possible? Well, not only does that, if I can buy cheap, I can sell cheap. If I can sell cheap, I can also sell without a lot of contingencies in place. I don't need the buyer. I often recommend them to check it out in person, do whatever due diligence they have. But for such a low price, a lot of people don't feel that same heavy burden, the same risk. So now buying something without actually meeting me in person isn't that big a deal. Now buying something without actually knowing, having this title insurance and all that is whatever, because it's not like I'm selling like a $100,000 house. So it makes people feel a lot at ease, and then it makes it a lot more accessible to a lot bigger of a market. That's how I get so many people calling. Now, is everybody going to be a buyer? No. However, in my strategy, I do turn more of those quote unquote tire kickers into buyers than most people do. A lot of people will see somebody calling and they're like, oh, because they're not, they're not slobbering and salivating at the mouth trying to buy their property, they call them a tire kicker. I don't know about you, but I don't just buy things sight unseen without asking a couple questions first, especially something like property. Like even when I'm acquiring property, I'm asking a seller, hey, what do you know about this property? I understand you may be an elderly person or you inherited this property from somebody else, but tell me what you know. And maybe I can do the rest of the research. So of course other people are going to do the same thing for you when they're looking to buy property and they don't know what they're doing, right? They're just hoping to buy some land to build a house, to have a recreational spot, whatever. So yeah, I know what it takes to actually turn these nervous Nellies into actual willing buyers. But that's half the reason. Now, how do I get these things for cheap? Well, first off, let's think about why people are selling their vacant land. One, they probably have some property, as I said, that they've held on for 40 or 50 years and they did absolutely nothing with. Now, guess what else they did for that 40 or 50 years? Paying property taxes. They've also heard promises from the developer, like this is going to be the next great this and the great subdivision. It's going to be this and that. And after 40, 50 years, they've done nothing with it. There's a time when they were planning on moving to that area, building a house, a cabin, whatever it was. And you know how life is, especially for a lot of us who are not that motivated or who easily let life dictate what happens to us as opposed to us dictating what happens to life, they don't actually get to move on to the property. So now they have this thing in the back of their mind like, damn, I have this property. I've been holding on to this for so many years. I haven't done what I said I'm going to do. So it starts to have this like friction in their mind of that anxiety of that. You know how it is when you're trying, when you know you should be doing something and you're not doing it. What feeling does that normally bring up for you? Put that in the comments right now. What is that feeling you feel when you know I got something to do and I just don't want to do it? For whatever reason, procrastination, fear, you doubt yourself, whatever it is. Put that in the comments. But anyway, you have that going on in the back of their mind. They're paying money every month to keep that problem alive. So every time they're paying that property tax, it's just another slap in the face that, look, you have something you're not using that you had big plans for, right? Now maybe they let the property tax slip a little bit and they haven't paid in a couple years. Now sure, the property tax may be cheap, $30 a year, $40 a year. The amount doesn't matter. It's still paying for something they're not using, right? I know how many of you have an account for like Netflix, or maybe not now. Netflix is probably the hottest thing in the streets right now, so forget that one. But there's like a gym membership, especially now during Corona, right? You have a gym membership and you're paying for it. How was the last time you were able to go into that gym? Hell, even before Corona, shit, were you going to the gym that often? No, but you're probably paying for that. But see, this is what the landowners are going through right now. They're paying for something they're not using. It's eating at them, right? Now, here's the thing. When I come in, I'm offering them a little relief. I'm like, look, you haven't paid your taxes. It's all good. I'll take care of your tax problem. Look, you got this property you're not looking to use. You thought about it, but you're honest with yourself. You know, you get past the emotional part. You're like, I need to get rid of this. I'm here to do that for you, and I'll make it as simple as possible so you don't have to do work. In fact, I will pay you up front. So it's not like you got to worry about getting scammed. And I'm going to pay you with the cashier's check. So it's not a personal check that can bounce. This is verified from a bank, and I don't bank with some little rinky-dink bank. I bank with Chase. So when they hear all this, it's like, okay, this is becoming very simple. I could get rid of this problem that's been eating at me for 30 or 40 years. I can get rid of it in 2 days. And I don't got to do much work. I like where this is going. I'm like, look, we ain't got to do no title insurance. You ain't got to do nothing. I'm going to buy it as is, so you don't have to worry about it. You know, and obviously, if there's actual issues doing my due diligence, then I'll bring that up. But I don't just buy everything. But all of these things puts them at ease. That helps me negotiate down the price. Like, look, this is what I'm doing for you. I'm solving the problem for you, and I'm making it easy for you. That comes at a price. But at the end of the day, instead of paying 30 or 40 bucks a year, I'm about to pay you $500 or $300 or $800 or whatever it is. That sounds sweet. And then what's today's date? December 2nd? Well, guess what's actually coming up in 23 days? That's right, Xmas. And when Xmas comes, the little baby Jesus is born, people are going to want money for their grandbabies to have Christmas presents. And when they have grandbabies to have Christmas presents, they're looking for cash. And if I can help them get a check in their hand for $500, $800 right now, do you not think they would jump on that, especially instead of worrying about a tax bill that they may have or just paying taxes every year? You don't think they're going to jump on that? Of course they will. I'm solving a problem for them. Now, all of this happens and now they're getting white glove service. This is how you can get property for cheap. But we're not done yet. After I get off the phone with them and let them know this is the process, I'm going to do my due diligence. And all I'm doing is I'm doing my own title search. And if you work with me, I can show you how to do that. It's not that hard. I'm going to check out the area if I don't know it, if it's a new area to me. You know, so what are the cool features of the area, the city, the county, whatever. What cool things would attract somebody who doesn't live in the area about it, and what things about the property itself that someone who may live in the area may be like, oh yeah, this is something I want. So I have all that together. And when I'm going through it, I might find out from my research or just asking the seller, hey, have you had a survey done? Have you had anything done with the property? Are there junk on the property? Is there power and water? Now, what does that really do? Psychologically, I'm devaluing the property. So not only am I already coming in with a low price, but it's justifying that low price, and sometimes I can knock down more. And in my research, let's say when I first got this information together to contact this person, and I see that they owe some taxes, I'm like, all right, maybe they owe $100, nothing. But then as I'm doing my due diligence, I find out that that tax amount has been updated. Maybe it's now 150, 200. Maybe I had the wrong amount or something, and it's actually a lot more than that. Well, do I just still say, hey, I'm still gonna give you 500 bucks? I'm like, no. Hey, guess what? By the way, I found out this issue, and this issue. Realistically, I'm not gonna be able to pay you more than, and I give them a newer, lower number. Usually, I just take the amount I was willing to pay. I subtract the amount of taxes that they owe, and then there's a little fudge factor of like, well, maybe this property might be a little harder to move because of the location, or maybe this less of a buyer's market for this particular property. I'm like, this is my new offer. I understand that this is not what you're hoping for. Hey, and if you don't want to take it and you want to continue to pay taxes, that's totally fine with me. I totally get it. But if you're looking to take care of this problem, I will take care of it for you, and I will have the check in your hands in 2 days. Powerful stuff. Powerful stuff. When you see stuff like that, that is what makes people kind of change your mind. Now, when they decide to sell, and sometimes you got to walk people through it. I remember one of the properties I bought in Texas. It might have been the one that, from that story I told you, it might have been one of those properties I was selling. I contacted her brother first. He was the one that told me about his sister. Like, yeah, my sister owns more lots in that same area. As I was talking to her, she was afraid to sell because she was like, I don't want to get taken advantage of. I don't want to feel like a fool because I'm giving up this property for so cheap. Because let's be honest, everybody, when they hear real estate, they think big numbers. They think, oh, you own land, you must be rich. Or you own land, it must be worth millions of dollars or thousands and thousands. No. Because think about this. If you go to Zillow.com right now, I guarantee you, somewhere in the country, even your own area, you can find a piece of property for $1,000, $2,000. Sure, it's not, money you may just have in your wallet, but it's still not like moving the needle money. That's what, a month rent or, a month's expenses. It's not much. You can buy property for that. So you got to help them understand like what they have isn't as valuable as they think it is. And again, how do I do that? I'm like, well, when's the last time you had an appraisal done? Oh, I haven't. Well, what are you basing your offer or what are you basing your counter offer price on? And usually it's nothing. Again, playing that, I'm helping them realize like, yeah, what you think is real and what's actual real are two different things. This is how I can keep talking the price down. Now, I'm not trying to trick them. I'm keeping everything up and honest. And they ask me, what are you going to do with the property? I tell them this. Well, I'm probably going to sell it, or if not, I might keep it for myself. It just depends. That's the honest truth. Sometimes I do keep them. I don't keep them. Maybe I keep them a long time. Maybe I sell it. It's my property. I can do what I want. Maybe one day I'm going to be like, well, I'm ready to hang it up. I live in sunny California. Maybe I want to live in another state, and I can start fresh. I can build fresh. Maybe, maybe I'll have that for my kids. Who knows? But once they understand everything and you keep it honest with them and you help them realize like, look, you don't want this property. You're just so worried about what others may say that you sold it, or you're worried about quote unquote being taken advantage of. When you realize that's not what's happening and you realize you're about to get paid now, it changes the narrative a little bit. And they went from a thought that triggered like, I don't know, I need to keep it because you never know, just in case. The same thought they have for the last 30 or 40 years to like, I need to let this go. And so when I'm talking about this with them and I help them realize they need to let it go, you can actually hear an audible shift in their voice on the phone, like, wow, thank you. I've actually gotten that. There's other times where I've actually talked to people going through this process. It doesn't take as long as it sounds because sometimes certain things don't need to be said. And when I do the research, I'm like, yeah, I can't buy this because X, Y, and Z. They still like, hey, well, what can we do? How can I get rid of this property? I don't want it no more. So once I help them realize that, they start to actually work with me a little bit more. And I still be like, I don't want it. I'm sorry, I just won't be able to do nothing with it. I can't purchase it legally, or I'll be trespassing if I have to to get onto the property, meaning it's landlocked, whatever. Now let's bring it back to the realtors. What are they missing? Well, if you go back to like a Zillow.com or Realtor.com, you'll see vacant land lots for sale. And not only, if you look at, do me a favor. If you looked at the escape velocity training, I showed you how to kind of look at prices on Zillow and things like that. Look at the views. Look at how many people actually looked at that property and look how long it's been listed. A lot of times when realtors are listing these properties, they've been on the market for 3 or 4 years and it's had like, they average maybe like a couple views per week. And they're wondering when it's not moving. This is why when it's time for them to buy in the name of their client, it's hard for them to do because they don't see it any other way. They see it as something they don't get commission on. They're terrible at selling. So guess what that means for you as a land investor? You talk to those same people who are looking to use a realtor to sell that vacant land property. Like, look, I know I can't buy it from you right now because of the rules that you have a contract with this realtor. But as soon as that contract is up, I'm gonna buy your property, and it's gonna be the quickest and easiest thing you've ever done. And you ain't gotta pay no commission fees. What do you think that goes through that person's mind when they see that their realtor can't move the property? It feels like dead weight. But here I come, and not only will I buy, but I'll do it quickly and easily. They can't wait to get rid of that realtor. This is the opportunities I'm talking about that people are missing. And the reason why this is important, I want you guys to write this down. This is very important. This is why we're doing it. We're trying to buy property. The reason why this is important because if you do not believe you can get property for cheap, you are going to overpay for every single piece of property that you come across. And when you overpay, you can't sell it for cheap. When you overpay, you can't sleep at night because you feel like you didn't do your best. You got taken advantage of in some way. When you overpay, that means not only you're going to be holding the property for a long time, is yet you are actually it's harder to sell because you're looking for a smaller pool of buyers that can afford more for property that's not worth that much. And now you're worried about, oh my God, I'm going to lose money on the deal or I'm not going to make as much. That's that dumb shit that keeps people stuck. But if you don't believe you can get it cheap, you won't negotiate down. You won't be able to take your emotions out of things and put your own perceived biases into the deal thinking, well, if it was my property, this is what I would want. And who cares what you want? You're not them. You don't feel what they feel. You don't know what they're going through. So take yourself out of it. Negotiate down. Do the best that you can to help them move that property quickly out of their hands and into yours. A more capable hand that can actually give to somebody or sell to somebody else who's actually going to use it and not just sit on it for 30 or 40 years. I went through this whole thing to let you know, like, if you don't think you can get property for cheap, you're not going to try to get it for cheap. And if you still try to kind of dabble at this game, you're going to pay a lot more for it. So you're not helping anybody. You think you're helping that person you bought it from, but what's the difference between, $1,000 and like $300? $700, okay. It's not moving the needle for them either. And now you're not going to be able to sell it for as much or get as much in return. So you can buy more property and help more people out with their tax problems. Help your own family out with the income that you're bringing in and the more free time that you have because you've been doing this. Does that make sense? Am I getting through? Let me see. For many property owners with no spare cash in their pocket, that property is a noose around their neck with unknown expenses. Damn right, Chris. Damn right. And it's us to kind of remove that noose and help people get away from that. Let them get freed from that. But again, you have to believe you can get the property for cheap. And you have to understand what role you're playing in this whole song and dance. Because if you feel that you're quote unquote taking advantage of people, or you don't want to talk to people in general, well, now you're selling yourself short. Now you're not actually helping anybody. And in fact, it's a very selfish way to go about business. You're doing things that are more comfortable to you than actually helping that person get rid of that problem. Or acquiring that property for a low price so you can sell it for a low price so somebody else that may not be able to afford property can come in and now they have a chance to have property. All because of your feelings. I don't know about you, but when I go with those feelings, I usually end up selling myself short and selling everybody who's doing business with me short. The value that you provide by buying these properties for cheap cannot be understated. But if you don't believe you can get it for cheap, you're going to overpay for property. You overpay for property, the whole system breaks down. One last thing I'm going to end because it's been 24 minutes. We respect your time. My first deal, I bought a piece of property for $100. I didn't know what I was doing. It took a while to sell it because I didn't have the system I have now. But what if I would have overpaid for that property? What if I would have paid for that property? Let's say I paid $1,000 for it. Do you think I will still be in business now? What will my mindset be about buying property for cheap? What will my mindset be about, hey, can I do this business? Hey, is this real? I would have given up before I even got started. I would overpay for property. I would have regretted it. And then every other decision I would have came after that would have screwed me up. So this is why it's important. You got to believe you can get it for cheap. You got to believe. And I'm not going to just tell you that as, hopes and dreams, and this is like a sometime. This is what I do every single day. Now, do I pay more for property sometimes? Yeah, when it's worth more. If I know I'm going to get $3,000 or $4,000 for it, I don't mind paying $1,200 for it, $1,500 for it. Because I'll still double my money. But I still would rather talk it down or get it for free. How do you get it for free? Well, they owe enough in taxes. I just sold a property that I got for $50. You still be looking for John McRae. That's exactly what would happen if I would have bought that piece of overpaid for that first piece of property. Hey, well said, Joe. Well said. But as I was saying, when you're on there and you don't believe you can get it for cheap, you don't do it, and you don't help people out get rid of these problems, you're not going to last. And usually, in my experience, when I'm feeling those thoughts, it's because I'm not taking it seriously. I'm not taking the business seriously. I'm not taking myself seriously. And what that means is I'm dabbling. Now, maybe you're the same. Maybe you're trying this here and there. You're like, oh, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try that. I'm going to try this way to make money. I'm going to try that side hustle. When I was doing that, I didn't get anywhere. It's like I'm trying to get to a destination, but every step I made me take a different turn. And next thing you know, going in circles. But that's the last thing. I just want to let you guys know it's very easy to get property for cheap. You just got to have the conviction in yourself to understand what you're actually doing and what role you're playing in this system. You're getting rid of the property for cheap so you can sell it for cheap. You're helping someone get rid of a burden and selling it to somebody who's going to use that property and be forever grateful that you helped them get into home ownership or property ownership without a bank, without a credit check, without all these other things that other people feel will hold them back. You guys finding the value in this? You guys liking this? You like? I appreciate you guys listening in. Now listen, if you guys want to work with me and want me to show you personally the escape velocity strategy, let me know. Send me a PM. You can say so in the comments. Say, hey, Coach Vic, hook me up. I will. If you do that, I will go ahead and send you a personal message, and I can tell you about how that would look, and if that working with me would be something that would work for you. Let's see. How you determine what market area you want to target when starting out? Well, Joe, I sent you a video all about my escape velocity strategy. I want you to actually go through that because I kind of lay it out, the steps of what needs to be done. And then within that video, I actually show you step by step. This is how you can find the area and get started right now. So if you guys haven't seen that, maybe you didn't give me your email, make sure you give me your email so I can actually send you that. This is why I ask you the questions. If you're not willing to give me your email, it's all good. But that tells me you're probably not that serious about learning. And if you're not that serious, you're not going to be able to implement these things. And if you're not going to implement, you ain't going to make no money. That simple. All right. Anything else? I really appreciate your time. I appreciate you being here. It's been 28 minutes. I think that's long enough. Hopefully you guys are out there. You guys are, contacting owners. You're selling your property. I'm seeing some wins in the group, which is a beautiful thing. So next time we talk, I'll probably talk more about the other side of the coin when you're actually trying to sell. All right. Anything else? No. All right. Well, that is it. Enjoy your time. Listen to a little more Warren G. And we're out. I'll get to your problem later, Chris. I'll answer it later.